The California dial. The best California dial is the one you can get new today at a fair price. One of the most iconic and unique watch designs out there is the California dial. And to be frank, well, I'm not Frank, I'm Hans and you're not. And welcome to my channel, even though I'm not Frank. I have not yet owned a watch with a California dial, and I'll explain why when it comes to each watch. So I'm still on the fence here, but I really want a watch with a California dial. But without any further ado, here are 9 California dial watches that you can buy brand new today. And they're all linked in the description. Let's start with one of the most interesting micro brands out there, the Serica. Or Serica, that's a French micro brand, and they're new-ish. Now this model, the Ref 6190 Field Chronometer California, this is probably my first choice when it comes to a California dial watch. And the Serica designs are pretty unique, and they have been copied all over the place by the usual suspects, and it's quite a compliment actually for such a new brand to be copied, but pretty annoying too, I guess. It's not a big watch, only 37.7mm, and after all it's 990 euros plus the taxes and the shipping. So at this price point there is a lot of exciting watches to choose from. But I have not yet pulled the trigger on the Serica. It's a tad on the smaller side, and I would prefer to try it on before I buy it. And they have no retail distribution, so it's really hard to try it. And even though it's a bit pricey, it offers great value for money with its COSC certified movement. And another fun aspect is that they have this gorgeous watch that is actually competing with themselves. And it's the Ref 8315 Travel Chronometer Enamel Black, which is almost twice the price. Hey, he's a poet, but he doesn't know it. It's tough to choose between these two killer designs without seeing them in the flesh. But they do pop up occasionally in used condition, so I might be able to snag one day. The next on my list is a Beaufort Aerotimer. And Beaufort is a new micro brand. They're based in New Zealand, and they're named after the Bristol Beaufort, a World War II torpedo bomber, and their Aerotimer lineup looks pretty great, especially the white dial. And that's probably why it's currently sold out. And they're not cheap. With customs they would come in about $600. Well, I'm still on the fence here, and the navy gilt dial looks smashing. But then there's these white hands and markings that kind of ruins it a bit for me. At least on these pictures on their website, and especially on the gilt dial. I'm not sure about the color either. Is it blue gilt? It looks like black gilt on the pictures. I'm a bit confused here. The Tiffany blue also looks great, but I already got a Tiffany blue watch. And frankly, one Tiffany blue is enough for me. But that's also a great watch. It's a Citizen Chiosa, and I have reviewed it so you can watch the video here. And then there's the Salmon dial. And Salmon dial looks great too, but salmon dials are not for me, yet. And who wants to wear a salmon on the wrist? I like to eat salmon, not wear them on my wrist. Woohoo! Ha! That's a great joke, isn't it? Speaking of wrist, it's time to do a wrist check. And today I'm wearing my Houson Sharkmaster 300. That's a good looking watch, isn't it? Now, the specifications are 40mm stainless steel and a Soprod automatic STP-111 movement. Now that movement has a little bit of reputation after some issues with the Serica earlier, so that also kind of holds it back for me. At this price point, I would rather prefer to see a Seiko or a Miyota 9 series in this case. But still, this is probably my second choice for a California dial. And who knows, I might get it. I really dig it. Maybe if they pull up some better pictures, I might be able to decide. The third on my list is the Boldr Safari line. Boldr is a very well-known and respected micro brand, hailing from Singapore and Malaysia. And the Safari lineup offers a variety of field watches and GMTs in different colors, with or without California dial, ornate or bracelets. And I'm a bit confused about the watch case. Some looks to be polished, and some looks like brushed from the pictures on their website, but they don't tell on their website. But they're very reasonably priced, from $299 to $499, depending on which model you end up with. And the specifications are 40mm stainless steel and a Seiko automatic movement, and that for me is a perfect choice in this kind of watch, in this type of category for a micro brand. And at this price point, it's perfect sense. But I find this lineup a little bit confusing. After all, it's a variety. It's not one clear line. Maybe it's the case, I don't know, but they look different. But that's not what's stopping me from getting one. It's the name of the dial. Safari. I don't want to watch with the name Safari on the dial. I don't think I will be able to enjoy it. Now, feel free to call me silly or a nitpicker in the comments, but I will explain why this is holding me back. Because I've learned that the details matters incredibly much when it comes to watches. After all, watches is not a necessity, it's not a commodity. There can be only one small little detail that really puts me off, and that watch ends up in the drawer or in the watch box. And Safari, well, apart from the obvious Safari associations, well, I would love to go on a safari in Africa and see all the animals and the beautiful landscapes, and who wouldn't? But that's not my number one association when it comes to safari, unfortunately. It's actually cookies or biscuits. And this might actually be a product only here in Norway. But still, once you've seen it, you can't really unsee it. So sorry for that, if that happens to you too. If I one day will be able to unsee this Safari name, then I'll probably get this watch. And I will probably choose the Ranger Kopje, the GMT Tarangire, or the GMT Masai Mara. They're all dead gorgeous. Except that name, Safari, it ruins it for me. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, but, well, I am sorry because I can't really get that watch yet. The Nomos Glashütte Club. This will probably be my number one choice if I don't consider the budget at all. Nomos has a fantastic reputation for building quality watches. And at $1,500, it's certainly a great looking dial. And unlike the others, it has Roman numerals at the 8 and 5, so it's truly a unique design. But still, I prefer those numerals at the top of the dial. It has a hand-built manual wind movement and a small seconds hand, so this is really something. It comes in multiple color variants too, but it's only a 38mm, so I would probably end up not using it too much, because 40mm seems to be my sweet spot. But the good thing about Nomos is that they have actually a lot of physical retailers. Also here in Norway they have retailers, so you can go and try the watch on before you decide. The build your own Undone, it's an interesting option if you are into this kind of build your own concept. You can choose a base design and then tweak certain aspects of it in order to create essentially your own catalog watch, or at least customize some aspects of it. The build your own or this watch configurator on their website, at first I think it really makes sense. It's a really cool and unique feature. But when you start to think about it, first the name, Undone, at first that's a pretty cool name, Undone. But once you try to decipher it, it's undone, meaning the watches are not done. Of course you build your own, but what's the brand design really about then? They're not making any choices. But it's pretty fair priced. However, I don't seem to be able to get the perfect design with the current options available. And they seem to do collaborations with a wide variety of third parties. And their watch designs are all over the place. So this branding is a bit unclear for me. So it's not my personal favorite, even though the name sounds cool at first. But it's a really affordable option if you want to try a California dial for the first time. Now, the Timex Marlin, that's certainly a budget choice. That's both 34 and 40mm options, and they're around $200 to $300 depending on your location. They look great, but that's pretty much it. Even though it's an historical brand, Timex has a bit of, shall we say, doubtful reputation when it comes to quality. This is a casual dress watch. It has no lume, and it's chunky after all, with its 13mm, excessive for a casual dress watch. Still, it could be a very nice entry-level watch to this category, just like the Undone. But the chunky looks ruins it for me. The Alpina Extreme recently got the California dial as an addition to their lineup. This is a very interesting choice at €1,600 with the Serica SW201. Just seems a bit overpriced for an Alpina. But they usually end up heavily discounted in a store near me after a few years, so I might actually be able to see one in the flesh before I decide. So I will definitely keep my eyes open for this. And the case design is very true to the original Panerai case design. The Houson. No, it's not Houson, it's Houson we have a problem. No, it's, Houson. What's with that name? But if you can get past that name, this is a very affordable watch with good specifications. But for me, this is an unknown brand from Macau, China. And I came across it for the first time when I did research for this video. And they're not listed as a microbrand in the microbrand database. So this is a bit unclear to me. What kind of brand is this really? Is it a factory brand? Now the farther Cali Azul or Cali Verde. Or is it universal? The dial says universal. The site says Cali Azul. Confusing at first. Turns out it has a history, of course. All watches must have a history. Now the onion crown looks big. It says oversized, but it's listed as 6 millimeters. Confusing. But anyways, it's an anti-magnetic pilot automatic watch. Yeah, why not? There's a lot to like about this. It looks great, and Farrer has superb reputation as a British microbrand. And the price is decent as well, and comparable to the Serica. So, I'm confused. I have no clear option to choose here. Which one would you choose? Feel free to let me know in the comments. Now, after seeing some of these great options available, perhaps you want to know what makes this style so special. Let's dive into that, shall we? As we have seen, the California dial has a distinctive appearance, and the numbers on the dial combine both Arabic and Roman numerals. Typically, the upper half of the dial shows Roman numerals, while the lower half shows Arabic numerals. This creates a unique visual appearance, in addition to the nostalgic and vintage feel. And it's super legible. There's no way to mistake any numbers from each other. If you're upside down in an aeroplane or underwater, you'll still be able to tell the time. And this is the reason that this style, originally called the error-proof dial, was invented in the 1940s. And the California dial appears on a variety of styles and brands. So it's quite versatile. From elegant dress watches to robust diving watches and pilot watches, this design suits a lot of different styles. But it's a bit of controversial design. It seems either you hate it or you love it. I think it's super duper awesome, and I would like to see more of it. I'm hoping that established big brands and more micro brands will get their offerings out with this kind of dial. Because now there's not too many options. And as you've seen, the big brands are not there. There's no Seiko, there's no Certina, there's no Citizen, there's no Casio, there's no Rolex, there's no Omega, and the list goes on. I'm hoping that the established brands will offer this kind of dial in a not too distant future. But as they're not offering it, it might not be a popular style after all. What do you think? And in addition, there are tons of choices from AliExpress, but I'm not going to go into them. I'm not interested in them. I prefer real brands with a real history, with a purpose, with a philosophy, with a design, with ethos, and with a mission. I'm not a watch snob, and I'm certainly not a snob. But feel free to call me that in the comments if you like. I dare you. Call me a snob.
Now watch this video. It's pretty good too. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.